The follow-ups are doing so much damage. It's insane. I'm going to restack the buff because why not? It's almost gone. Should be able to finish this. Here we go. So that is going to leave us with 30 cycles remaining. That's insane. That's crazy. What's going on today? We're going to be taking a look at Robin. This is going to be a first impression or first look at her kit, her build, team options. We're gonna throw her an MoC and hope she doesn't die. All that fun stuff, okay? That being said though, this has been provided to us by Hoyoverse. They gave me access to the creator experience server, which means that things are subject to change on final release of version 2.2. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So starting off with the stats, I went with 4,400 attack and 135 speed. Robin has an ability, which is her ultimate, that increases her allies' attack based off of her attack. There's no cap to that. So that means you can stack as much attack as you want to, and it'll all go towards buffing your allies with the ultimate. Of course, for the speed, the reason why I went with 135 is because her skill increases allies' damage. So you're gonna want her to go first when you jump into battle to increase your allies' damage, and then whoever's up next can start slaying away and just doing all the damage, right? The light cone that I'm using on her is her signature light cone. It is Flowing Night Glow. Pretty much what this does is every time an ally attacks, you get 3% energy regeneration, and that stacks up to 5 times. But when the wearer of this light cone uses their ultimate, those get removed, and instead you get a cadenza, which increases the wearer's attack by 48% and allies damage by 24%. So this means that you'll get an additional 48% attack for the wearer, which will in turn buff your allies even more. So this is definitely her best light cone. I mean, it is her signature after all. But there are other options that you could use, like Branya's light cone, but the battle isn't over, which will increase energy regeneration rate and also provide skill points after using the ultimate. And another thing that's good about this light cone is that you could buff the next person in line by 30%. So you want to make sure that the speed is set up correctly, that your DPS goes after Robin or whoever is using this light cone. That way they get to take advantage of the 30% increase of damage. So, but the battle isn't over is a good 5-star option for her if you don't have the signature. As for 4-star options, the best one will be For Tomorrow's Journey, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be a event exclusive light cone, so you don't want to miss out on this. But what this does at S5, it increases the wearer's attack by 32%. So this is going to be good for Robin to further increase her allies' attack, and then also you get increased damage by 30%, which is okay. You're not really going to be doing that much damage with Robin. Another 4-star option that I'd recommend is Carve the Moon, which is the battle pass light cone. So if you have 10 bucks laying around, I'd recommend this for obvious reasons. There are 3 passives that you can take advantage of, which is increased attack, crit damage, or energy regeneration. Of course, this is RNG. It's random on which buff you'll get, similar to Widsith and Genshin. If you can't get any of these light cones, the final light cone that I personally would recommend is Past and Future, but this is a very copium light cone. Like, I wouldn't recommend this over the other options. This is pretty much a watered down version of But the Battle Isn't Over. Essentially, it's just this part of it where it increases damage for the next person in line, but it's only by 16% at S1, so it's very copium. Wouldn't recommend this unless you have no other options. Now for Relics, what I chose for my build was I went with the double attack set bonuses, because like I said earlier, I was trying really hard to get 4,500, but I was only able to get 44. If you don't want to run that, you could also use Hackerspace for the extra speed, or you could use Streetwise for extra physical damage. Just the 2-set bonus though. I wouldn't use 4-set for those. Personally though, I think her best will be the double attack. So you can stack as much attack as you can. Of course, for passives, or not passives, for your substats, you're gonna want attack and speed for the most part. As for the ornament, I went with Von Whack for the extra energy regeneration and advanced forward action. But of course, there are other ornaments that you could use, like Broken Keel for extra sustain, Permanent Frontline for the extra damage and extra attack. For main stats though, we went with attack for the chest, attack for the boots, but you could also use speed for boots. I went with attack since I was able to get pretty good substats for speed. And then I went for their attack for the spear and ER for the rope. So for the most part, you're going to want to follow the same thing that I have, but you could change the boots out for speed if you really wanted to. It all depends on your substats. Like if you have more attack on your substats, maybe run speed boots. If you have more speed on your substats, maybe run attack boots. For Eidolons, starting off with E1, of course. So E1 increases all ally type resistance penetration by 24%, which is very good. But a lot of people are going to ask, is this better than getting the light cone? cone? I could argue no. And the reason why is because if you take a look at the light cone gives you energy regeneration, and it also gives you 48% attack and then 24% damage for your allies. So you're going to buff your allies by having increased attack with Robin, and you're also going to buff your allies by 24% damage. It's pretty obvious that you get more out of the light cone than you do out of E1, but E1 is still really good. And if you can get it, go for it, of course. E2 is another Eidolon that I would say is good as well. It increases your ally's speed by 16% and pretty much makes her energy regeneration better. E4 pretty much is a sustain Eidolon. It increases effect res for all allies by 50%, which is really good to be, you know, a little bit more tanky, a little bit more beefy. And then E6 is essentially more damage. And, you know, of course, E6 is always going to be good for the most part. All right, now finally, before we test out Robin, let's take a look at team options. Her best team is probably this right here. Physical DPS follow-up team, essentially, yeah. Clara, Topaz, and Aventurine. All of them which do follow-up attacks, and Clara being physical DPS, Robin also physical DPS. So this is a really good team, especially if you're running Penacony on Robin. Probably one of the best teams for her. But of course, this is honkaistarrail. It all depends on what you're up against. Other teams you can use are the same thing, but with Dr. Ratio, or just remove the first option, which is Dr. Ratio for like any other follow-up DPS. And in most cases, it'll work just fine. Some DPSs work better with other supports. For example, Blade. Instead of Aventurine, maybe you'll want to use Fu Xuan for the HP buff to boost his damage. It all depends on what the DPS is, or who the DPS is for that matter. Other teams you could use are Herta and Himiko for your follow-ups. A very free-to-play friendly team would be Herta, Pela, March, and Robin. You know, Pela, I don't think she's free-to-play, but you can easily get her since, you know, she's a 4-star and she shouldn't be that hard. But of course, there are other DPSs that you could use. Jingyuin. You could argue that there are other supports that are better for Jingyuin though. You could also use Jingliu. Jingliu is also a follow-up DPS that's really good. You're not limited to just the ones that I mentioned. I think even Shui. Yeah, Robin's really good. She buffs a lot more than just follow-up attacks. So you could technically use her with other DPSs that are single target and multi-target, or even the Hility. You won't be taking advantage of her extra crit damage for follow-up attacks. So just keep that in mind if you're going to use her on anything other than follow-up teams. All right, so straight into MoC. This is going to be floor 7 or whatever you want to call it, stage 7. Let's go ahead and use all of our techniques just cause. So Robin buffs attack. So let's take a look at Dr. Ratio's attack. Right now, he has plus 1815, and Topaz has plus 1283. Also, their crit damage too. Crit damage is 178 and 169. I'm not sure. I don't think the follow-up crit damage is going to show up here though, because it's only going to count for follow-up attacks. Let's go ahead and get our energy for Robin. Robin's skill buffs allies damage. Let's go ahead and build up that energy. I'm trying to get some follow-ups here. Knock that guy out. Venturing, we don't really need shields right now. Chilling. We don't have to use her skill again, so we'll go ahead and just use a normal attack. And now we can use her ultimate, which is going to increase our allies' attack and crit damage for follow-up attacks. So now that we did our ultimate, let's take a look again. So right now, Topaz was at 1200 or plus 1200 attack. Now she's at plus 3200. And Dr. Ratio was at plus 1800. And now he's at plus 32. That's almost double. And we're getting 1345 attack. But keep in mind, that was with 4400 attack. Her light cone's going to give 48% attack here and also increased damage for allies. So we're getting a lot of attack here from not only the build that we threw on her, but also her light cone. So your light cone is also going to determine like how much attack. So that's pretty good. So right now we're getting a lot of buffs from Robin. We're getting increased follow-up crit damage by 25%. We're getting increased attack by 1345. And also she's immune to crowd control debuffs. Additional 48% attack. And then damage dealt increases by 24%. And this is her skill, Aria, which is going to increase damage by 50%. Oh, and this right here is also from Robin, the increased crit damage by 20%. So we're getting a lot of stuff here. You have a lot of value already from Robin just by looking at this. Now that we see how much she buffs, let's go ahead and finish this and see how fast we can clear it. This should be a walk in the park. And Dr. Ratio is doing damage. They're just all doing their follow-ups right now. Yep. Going to use our ultimate right here. Going to use it on this guy first. It doesn't really matter. I want to get rid of him first, but it looks like we have our thing for Topaz. The follow-ups are doing so much damage. It's insane. Putting in all the work. All right, that's clear. We're already down to one enemy. We're doing a follow-up attack that almost kills him. We're going to restack the buff because why not? It's almost gone. And Topaz should be able to finish this. There we go. So that is going to leave us with 30 cycles remaining. That's insane. That's crazy. All right, let's get out of here. We're not going to do this half for obvious reasons. We only brought Kafka. All right, so final thoughts. Is Robin worth it? I would say absolutely. And the reason why is because Robin is a follow-up attack support, and it's very easy to get follow-up attackers. Think about it. We got Dr. Ratio for free. We got Herta for free. On top of Herta, we got her Eidolons. And then Himiko is a very easy standard 5-star to get. Either get her by failing your 50-50, or if you wish 300 times on standard, you can technically get her for free. There's a lot of follow-up attack options for Robin as like a free-to-play player. Not only is she good for follow-up attackers, you know, like I said earlier, you can use her with other DPSs, but maybe try to stick to the follow-up attacker so you can take advantage of the extra crit damage. She's really good Harmony support unit. Is she better than, you know, characters like Bronya, Ron May, King Yun, you know, characters like her? I don't really want to answer that question, but she's at least just as good. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below and let me know what I could do better. This is my first time doing one of these videos, so I could really use the feedback. And once again, thank you Hoyoverse for giving me the opportunity and being a part of the creator experience server. And with that being said, I will see you all next time. Peace.